Welcome back everyone. Let's go ahead and talk about, I guess, the newer updated Magic Keyboard 3, Magic Keyboard 2021. I don't know what they're going to call it. Maybe, I think it's even the Magic Keyboard 2 to be honest. Let's go ahead and see how this specific, keyboard holds up, and the cool thing is that this is the latest keyboard that Apple has made, and this is one of the first times that they made actually two different versions at the same time. I do understand the first time they made their wireless keyboard, they made a ton of different keyboards, but this time, since the Magic Keyboard 2, we actually have two different versions we can buy. So the base model, which is the one I have, is that standard keyboard. The top tier model is the one with the fingerprint sensor inside of it. And I was going to get it, but I rushed through the process of buying it, so I may have to buy it separately. But they're essentially the same keyboard, just one has Touch ID and the other one doesn't. Now I can definitely tell you that is a humongous advantage. If you're trying to get a Magic Keyboard, I would probably recommend getting the one with Touch ID, especially if you're using it on a Mac OS machine. There are a lot of people, whether you believe it or not, who use these keyboards on Windows machines, on even some Android tablets and things like that. So that's a pretty cool thing. I am curious to see how, when you connect it to an iPad, what happens there, but I guess we can save that for a different video. Now looking around the specific keyboard, like I said, the Touch ID one does have the little Touch ID icon on the top right. Other than that, they're pretty much exactly the same. And the biggest differentiating factor between the original Magic Keyboard, the one before this that came out in 2015, and this one is that we actually have a couple of different colors that we can choose from, so it matches up with our iMacs. Now I do think in the future Apple's going to start selling these separately, but really that is a huge difference. They've been pretty much the same color except for the space gray models that we got. So this is a really cool little option that we actually had. But on top of this, there's actually a little bit more of a curvature on the side of the specific keyboard. So it definitely looks more circular in a way, not actually circular, but the corners are more rounded. Now, I'm kind of indifferent about it. To be honest, I kind of like the original Magic Keyboard, the Magic Keyboard 2, whatever one is called. I actually kind of prefer that type of keyboard. I think that one looked better. I think this one looks great too, don't get me wrong, but I'm not a huge fan of the more rounded corners. I think even the Magic Trackpad 2, that one looked better than the Magic Trackpad 3 that came out as well. But regardless, they're both roughly around the same thing. They do the same thing, so I think that's really awesome. And everything else about these are pretty much the same. I think there's a little bit of a texture difference on the bottom of the keyboard as well, so that's kind of like another thing to keep in mind. I kind of saw that as I was going through, but again, it's like nobody's going to be really looking at the bottom of the keyboards. Now another thing, when I first connected it to my specific iMac, I thought at first that for some reason the Magic Keyboard was faster at input, and the main reason I thought this was because when I actually started using my iMac, my M1 iMac, and I clicked the spacebar to wake my iMac up, it was almost instantaneous. The thing was so fast. So I thought the input, or at least the connecting input for the Magic Keyboard was faster, but I think that's more so of a feature of the M1 Mac and like the feature set inside of it rather than the actual specific keyboard itself. So I really don't think that was a big deal at that level either. So I think that's kind of like another thing to keep in mind as well. So that's awesome. I like it. I think that's pretty cool. And in terms of the outside, I think that really pretty much covers it up. Now the keys are almost roughly around the same, but there are a cool few little differences here and there. So like I mentioned, on the top right, it's no longer an eject CD button. It's actually either a lock button, so you can lock your display, or it's the Touch ID button. Either or, you have those types of pretty much the same capability there. Now there's also a cool few little differences for the keys up top for the function keys. You now have a do not disturb button, which I'm not a huge fan of. I really actually don't like that at all, to be honest. It seems like they changed the positioning of the brightness buttons. I'm not 100% too sure. You now have a dictation button as well, and a spotlight button. So you have a couple of different dedicated buttons right there, which is really cool that we necessarily didn't have before. And you also have a brand new emoji keyboard as well. So before we had to click, I think it was like control and spacebar, control and option or something like that in order to boot up the emojis. Kind of an annoyance, but I don't know. Now we have a dedicated button to it. So I think that's a really cool little thing too. And I think for the most part, that really pretty much covers up the outside, and those are really the main differences from the predecessor to this specific keyboard. There's really not that many other differences. I think this keyboard is a great little productivity keyboard. I don't think it's going to be like the game-changing thing for anyone. If you have a Magic Keyboard 2, I'd probably still recommend keeping it. I really don't think it's a crazy big upgrade, but it is still a really nice keyboard, and I think once Apple starts selling this one over the standard Magic Keyboard that they have now for sale, I think a lot of people are probably going to end up picking it up, and I think that's a really awesome thing. So that's a little bit of an update for the new updated Magic Keyboard. If you guys want to pick one up, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there and help support the channel at the same time. Hit the like button if you guys enjoyed the video, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it means so much if you guys can hit that. Also check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my other channels. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.